Hello, friends! It is not a secret that being a miner is one of the most dangerous professions in the world. For many people, these are just words, but for one who saw with his own eyes all the hardships and risks of this work cannot disagree with this. A miner must have excellent health, endurance, patience, good coordination, and quick reaction, the ability to control himself, and quickly find a way out of the most difficult situations. So, a real miner is not afraid of difficulties, and every time he fearlessly goes down into the ground, knowing that his relatives and friends are waiting for him on the surface. And our story today will be about just one such person and his strange savior. The story happened more than 20 years ago, and now it is popular between miners. A man named Paul worked as a miner all his life, so he knows the reality of such a worker and how hard this work is. And when he had a choice in his youth what he should do in his life, he did not hesitate to choose this profession. His family were all miners, from his father to his grandfather. Most of a miner's life is spent underground, and in these limited conditions, they also eat and try to relax at lunchtime, and for long hours, if they need help, they can only hope for their colleagues' help. One day, during one of these breaks, Paul decided to take a nap, as usual, asking his colleagues to wake him a little later. Of course, the colleagues agreed, and the man went to sleep, but his dreams did not last long. After some time, the man felt someone or something climbing his arm. He even took it as a prank of his friends. This group of miners was cheerful, and they invigorated each other with jokes. But opening his eyes, the man discovered that he had a huge rat under his palm. Miners see such living creatures frequently, about like pigeons for us. And so Paul just drove the evil beast away and, turning on his other side, was trying to fall back to sleep. But it was not the time. As he closed his eyes, the impudent rat came back and started running under his arms again. Then the man realized, before going to bed, he had lunch, and the smell of food attracted this arrogant wanderer. I need to do something. If I don't, she will not leave me alone, Paul thought. And without thinking twice, he threw the rest of the food to her, and with a contented face, the rat ran away, and the man was able to take a nap. But to the miner's surprise, the next day the situation was the same. And the most interesting thing was that the rat always found him wherever he was. So, from day to day, the miner began to feed the rat. His colleagues even laughed at him, and the truth is that she always came only to him, and every time it was the same rat. So, at his lunchtime, Paul sat down to have lunch and always carefully put somewhere a little food for his new friend. And everything was okay, and there was nothing strange about it. A hungry rodent always needs food. But soon there were events that he remembered the rest of his life. It was just an ordinary Thursday. Paul and one of his colleagues, as usual, after a nice dinner, decided to have a rest for half an hour. The guys were joking around, and soon they fell asleep. Suddenly, Paul felt that something was biting his finger. He barely felt the first bite, but then another, more powerful one followed. Paul opened his eyes and saw the same rat, and she behaved differently. She was making noise as if she was trying to show aggression to the miner. The man was surprised by her behavior, and since the rat had already interrupted his sleep, he realized that it would not be possible to fall back asleep, so he woke his colleague who was lying nearby, and they both went in search of their team. And imagine their surprise when in just a couple of seconds, a huge block of rock fell into the place where they had both been sleeping. It would have killed anyone who was there at the time. The miners were standing there looking at the collapse for a few more seconds in awe. Then they looked at each other, thinking what a terrible thing could have happened. Well, thanks to the little rat that woke them, they both survived. Of course, no one can prove or disprove the fact that it was just a coincidence, and that was how most people thought of it. The very next day, Paul brought food for his rat and hoped that she would appear there again as usual, but the rat never came to him. Probably the rock fell on her. Despite the fact that everyone thought it was a coincidence, Paul does not think so, and soon he decided to keep a domestic rat. This story really took place, and everyone can decide for themselves what it was, a sign from heaven or just luck. What do you think? Write your opinions in the comments. Well, that is all for today. See you later.